Hello there, and welcome to this 4th of July weekend edition of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Robin Washett, Steve Sipple. It's our last show here of the week, and we'll be back on a week from Wednesday here. So we will take Friday off of headlines and Monday off of headlines, but rejoin you with 2 shows again next week as we slim down a little bit for the holidays. It's also Stephen M. Sipple's 29th birthday.
Look at that graphic. Look at that graphic.
Hold on.
Happy 30th birthday, Sip.
Were you 30 when they took that pic?
Stop it, Sean.
Were you 30?
No, I was probably, I'm saying 15 years ago.
Just piercing eyes.
So it would have been, I don't mind saying I'm 54.
Big night, but you got a big night planned.
Pretty sure you say a different age every time you say.
I'm like a Cuban pitcher. You don't know how old I am. I'm 59. It's minus 15. So that's probably, do the math. 45.
If you would have fielded the punt at the spring game,
44. Probably.
You would have been the oldest guy in history to field a punt.
Do we have to bring that up? No, I wasn't going to field a punt at age 44 or 59. Okay,
I did, and
I know,
and a couple people really enjoyed it.
Anyway,
but no, happy birthday to Stephen M. Sipple as we get into the
guys,
show.
That's nice of you. You don't have to do that. Birthday acknowledgments are nice. I appreciate it.
We're brought to you here by Zipline, and excited to announce they've launched the new Juicebox hard soda. It's been out in time for the 4th of July. In fact, guys, I had one last night. I was on the flat top grill last night making some chicken.
There's a surprise, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And
right on brand.
I had my Juicebox orange creamsicle, and I texted Robin immediately. I'm like, wow.
Yeah. So I had mine this weekend as well, this past weekend, and to no surprise, at the pool.
On brand.
It was exactly what I would hoped it would be.
But they sell it all over.
Stress reliever.
Hy-Vee, Total Wine and Spirits, The Still, Brews of the Zoo carried it. It's a 6% hard soda. It comes out right now in the orange creamsicle. They'll later have a strawberries and cream flavor out as well. But we've tried both, and I will say the orange is probably my favorite of the 2, but both are very good. So if you're heading out to the pool this weekend for the 4th of July, the lake, or just hanging out at home, pick up. They come in 16-ounce cans in a 4-pack,
and they're 6%. So you don't need many.
I will tell you one of those, and I was a little loose. I got going on the grill last night.
Gets the vibes going, that's for sure.
I was
Good job, Sean.
The grill master, but thanks to Zipline, the title sponsor here of the Husker Online Show, and get out and try the new Zipline hard soda. Okay, let's get into the opening headlines of the show here. The recruiting run continues for Nebraska. 9 commits over a 21-day period. And I know 21 days ago, there was a little bit of panic on maybe where the class was at because they were at 3 or 4 commits. Now they're about where they should be. This class is already pushing to be inside the top 30 with a low number of commits right now. So the latest commitments for Nebraska, Claude Mpuma, the offensive lineman, committed. Larry Miles, the wide receiver, Leon Noel, the offensive lineman. They were the commits this week. And there's a couple more things that could still pop here in July, but I think you have to like Sip where this class is now kind of at as we move into July 4th.
Oh, yeah. You like it a lot better after Mpuma and Odom. You have 2 top 300 guys, right? You need top 300 guys. Those I thought Mpuma's getting him this week was gigantic. Mass kicks, you know what? In this league, it's incredibly important to be strong up front on both sides. Now they've concentrated on the offensive side in this case. I thought Odom was really important because you lost how you pronounce his name? TJ Brownell. And people wrung their hands over that, but quickly you go get Odom, and I think Odom's maybe better, different. Doesn't have the straight line speed, but as Brian Munson told me in a very, very colorful quote, he's a suction cup. He just sucks onto the hip of a receiver and doesn't get off of him. So I like it. I you know what, Sean? I legitimately like this class.
Claude Mpuma, 6'8", 260.
Yeah. Pure tackle, Rob. pure tackle, just like you'd see playing for the New York Giants
Let's
now.
go. Yeah, hopefully better.
No.
So they're at 12 right
12
now?
right now. Calvin Thomas, the 4-star edge out of Houston Cy Ranch, he is scheduled to make an announcement next week, a week from Friday. And Nebraska is now the favorite to land him. So that would be a 4-star. That would be commit 13. And then that would bump them up more. So again, and there was a tweet. It was interesting this week. Matt Rhule made a tweet, kind of a call out tweet on X this week. And nobody really knew what he meant by it. And, he kind of called out, I'll read the tweet here.
Yeah, read
exactly.
it.
Too many people have profited financially off negativity and despair. Their time is over. And, everyone's imagination, everyone's wheels were spinning. Who was he talking about? Was he talking about Sipple? Was he?
Could have been.
The biggest homer in the room.
Was he talking about?
Hey, you're doing it right when people call you the biggest homer and also the biggest antagonist of a program. That means you're doing it right.
It's confusing.
But yeah, you had all these theories of who it was. And I have my theory, and I've got a pretty good idea. This is what he meant. There was an article on ESPN earlier in the week, where a writer, who I don't even know who the guy was, called out Nebraska's recruiting and basically, called out how bad of a month of June the Huskers were having. And it was just way out of line, not accurate. And I think if I had to guess, and I have a pretty good guess, this is what Rhule was referring to, was the article that ESPN wrote. Sip, do you have that queued up?
Yeah, I do. Yes, he said Mrs. By the way, it's CJ Brownow. I said TJ. CJ Brownow. He said Mrs. on ESPN 300 quarterback Cameron Hamill, who went to Texas A&M.
Which is not accurate because they have a quarterback in Dayton Riola.
No, in the corner.
Oh,
but I don't even remember that.
He didn't visit.
That's odd. That name came out of nowhere. And Michigan pledges Zion Robinson and Titan Davis, paired with the flip of CJ Brownow to Florida, low-lighted a challenging June for the Huskers. He also cited Nebraska's fading grip on Brian Bonner, the running back from California. So, I mean, Bonner, we know that Jamal, Rhule, and Bonner were basically on even
1A, 1B, and they honestly coveted Rhule and his style more.
So that one was a kind of that didn't make sense to me.
And Zion Robinson was a last minute deal. Like, they weren't really recruiting him at a high level until he visited. And I mean, they were recruiting him, but there was a connection that got him to even visit Lincoln. Titan Davis has been out of the discussion for quite some time, mainly because his market, every team has a cap of money they can spend. Titan Davis is one of the top defensive linemen in the country. And, he didn't take an official visit to Nebraska.
Rob, you know how this stuff goes. And I hope what people are thinking right now is, oh, here's the HuskerOnline guys going to great lengths to defend the staff. Not really. I'm not. It's not that about that to me. It's about being fair.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you really look into this, I don't know that his take was all that fair.
Yeah, and it shows you how quickly narratives can change. Where, like, I'm sure when he wrote that, he was kind of placating to a lot of the people that were wringing their hands and starting to get nervous about Nebraska recruiting because the numbers were what they were. But it flipped quickly, didn't it? Now they're already up to 12 commits. They're a borderline top 30 nationally class. And I think the other nuance, especially when you're writing this mile away view on schools like this, is you don't understand kind of the certain factors involved here. And I continue to hammer home just the current roster right now and how many young guys they have. There's just not a need to go out, one, get a whole bunch of young guys. Two, it's hard to sell immediate playing time when you have freshmen, redshirt freshmen, and sophomores all at those positions ready to play right now.
Right.
Like, you're limited in what your bargaining chips are in this regard. So, like, when you don't factor in those types of nuances in the discussion, you're going to get inaccurate kind of layouts of what a class actually is and where it's going. And
I think when you look at how they've built this class, there is an NFL draft type approach to it. You can't just take all high ranked guys because you got to pay them.
Mm-hmm.
You have to find quality kind of undrafted free agents that that you think are going to be good. And then you try to retain those players as they develop. But, you know, I look at Hayden Ainsworth, Rex Waterman, Luke Sorensen, some of these guys they took very early on in the class, Jace Reynolds, those types of guys. They're going to probably have to pay them something, but those aren't big ticket recruits where you look at where they've clearly prioritized that. Impuma has to be one of those guys. Danny Odom would have to be another one of those
corner
players.
Tackle.
You know, you look at where they've kind of prioritized. Clearly, Nayland Scott and Larry Miles, I think, you know, those are two receivers they badly wanted, and those were priority guys for them to get, you know, and Calvin Thomas. Now, Valdon Sone is probably one of the biggest names still out there that we don't know where he's going to go. Florida, Georgia, Nebraska, you know, Oklahoma, he's got everybody.
What would you put the chances at?
Limited because of the price tag involved. I just don't know if Nebraska has the cap money left. And some of this recruiting now, you've seen a lot of teams essentially almost pay their entire roster with front load money, money that is paid out before July 1. So then with their rev share money, they have way more cap money, if not all their available cap money, just to buy recruits. And it's going to be a great 1-year plan. But how does that plan work in year 2, year 3, when you kind of overpaid with your money on both ways, when you have to have more of a concise plan in the years to come?
What you're saying is Nebraska's taking care of its current roster.
And Nebraska's front loaded. They've done that too. Everybody has to an extent.
Okay.
But to the level of what, like, say, USC is doing right now, and some of these teams right now, they have so much cap money because they've essentially used all their NIL money to pay players before the July 1 date.
Yeah. So just wrapping up my thoughts on this, Rob, when I look at this, I genuinely, and you know me, I don't sugarcoat anything at this point in my life. When I say I like this class right now, I like it. I mean, I wish it was a couple more defenders. You always want to see a big linebacker, D lineman walk into it. But when you recruit that many offensive linemen, you recruit them with the idea they're not coming into play right away. It's nearly impossible. But you get a guy like Nayland Scott, who's a legit 4-star, 6'4" receiver, legit guy. Odom, legit guy. We talked about the big lineman from Chicago. Larry Miles, legit. Leon Noyle, legit. These are dudes. I'd say Nebraska's done a good job. Ratings aside, I like what I'm seeing right now.
And in today's landscape of recruiting at the high school level, for me, the number one priorities are on both lines or side of the lines of scrimmage, where your offensive linemen and defensive linemen. Your offensive linemen are the guys that you develop. That's the one position group where development is still more important than anything. You can go try to get guys out of the portal, but you're taking a chance. And then defensive line is the same type of deal. You want to get those guys in your program before they get too expensive, you know, and then you go and try and get the top edge rusher. Good luck. You're going to be writing a pretty hefty check doing that. So doing what they're doing, and, you know, it's a small class, and so you got to be picky. I love the fact that they're focusing on the trenches. They're building up the next wave of young offensive linemen that you look at. Donovan Raiola's track record right now, development is happening. And you're starting to see these young guys that in previous years would not amount to anything. Now they're developing, and they're becoming the types of players that you would hope they'd be when they committed. And this would hopefully continue the trend of that.
And not one other thing, Sean, Rob, there's strong culture in that room. So you'll hear people say, well, how are they going to keep these guys around if they don't play? Offensive linemen are a little different.
They're different.
They understand. And then you couple that general understanding of the position group with what Donovan's building. He has a strong culture in the room.
Well, they kept them all too. I mean, Turner Corcoran, Teddy Prohaska, Gunnar Gatula, all three of those guys would have been attractive in the portal, and they all stayed.
And when you talk to them, you really get an idea of it's a group, and that's what Donovan, he always emphasizes that.
All right, guys, when we come back, I want to get into our top 40 Huskers, particularly our top 10 overall. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. We're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett. We're brought to you by our title sponsor, Zipline. Get out, try the new Juicebox hard soda. Pick up a pack of that for your 4th of July party, the pool, the lake, at home grilling, or just anywhere you want to have a good time. Thanks to Zipline. We're also brought to you by Billings Group. And Robin, you've got a Billings Group t-shirt on today, right?
I do.
God, I almost wore that. Wouldn't that have been
folks,
something?
Oh, I can't see. The fine folks at Billings Group sent us a nice little fun pack. We got a sweet mug, some good coffee.
The coffee
T-shirt.
mug has quickly moved up my power rankings of mugs.
It's like wider and it kind of like shorter but wider. Just nice.
Like, do you have a mug power ranking at your house, Robin?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I have like days of the week in which I use them. Like, so I got like my
Holy
Giants mug.
God.
That's my Friday mug.
The mug power ranking conversation just threw me for a complete
I've got a Father's Day mug where it's like #1 dad. That's my Sunday mug. Like, yeah.
Sipple's mug power ranking is McDonald's Monday cup, McDonald's Tuesday cup. But Billings Group, if you're not familiar, they're a trio of financial advisors made up of Lance and his 2 sons-in-laws, Josh and Nate. They're based in Salina, Kansas, and they help clients across the Midwest and beyond to make smart, confident decisions about their money. From your first real paycheck to your financial retirement party, Billings Group is here to walk you through the highs and the lows. Billings Group, financial advisors by your side for life's journey. Visit them at billingsgroup.com. Securities offered by registered representatives through Private Client Services, member FIRNA SIPC. Advisory service offered through Investment Advisory Group representatives through RFG Advisory. Registered investment advisor, RFG Advisory, Billings Group, and Private Client Services are unaffiliated entities.
Nice.
You're getting better. You're like Greg Louganis going into the water at this point.
What a reference.
All right, guys. So we do our top 40 Huskers. And what we do is every year we've done this probably almost 10 years now, Robin, where we rank our top 40 players, 1 through 40. Wanted to zone in our top 10. Okay. In this segment, we're going to go on 6 through 10. Our number 10 player was Marquise Watson-Trent at linebacker. Number 9 was Elijah Pritchett on the offensive line. Number 8 was linebacker Vincent Shavers. Number 7 was wide receiver Ja'Cory Barney. And then number 6 was cornerback Sierra Wright, a senior. So you have 3 players that came to Nebraska by way of the transfer portal, and then 2 of the best true freshmen they added a year ago in Shavers and Barney. It kind of really sums up your modern day college football roster when your newcomers and your portal guys are kind of regarded maybe as some of your better possible players heading into the year.
2 Florida guys prominent in that discussion, and Shavers and Barney. And I have Barney 3 because I'd get ready now because I think Barney is really going to pop as a return man. I think that's what you're going to see this year as a punt returner. I think Barney becomes maybe one of the best in the country.
Hello.
I believe that.
Hello. You're talking about a Nebraska team that hasn't returned a punt more than 15 yards in like a decade.
Hey, Rob, life's about to change. It's about to change. I think you're going to see Barney become maybe like a first team Big Ten, Big Ten specialist type guy. Well, you saw him last year.
We got to be careful here.
I'm not being careful. You saw him. You saw the talent.
Yeah, I had him 4th. I'm with you.
Yeah, the other thing you saw about Barney, okay, you saw extreme explosiveness, right? And extreme toughness.
He gets smoked and then pop right back up, give a little first down point.
Toughest guys there is on the team. I love that. Yeah, toughest guys there is.
Doesn't fumble.
Right. And what's it tell you that he even wants to return punts? I mean,
you gotta have the mindset to do that. And clearly he's not afraid to get hit. You know, that's sometimes you can be the fastest guy in the world, but somebody pops you and all of a sudden you lose that edge to you. He's not going to lose that edge.
No, Ja'Cory Barney's a football player now.
Go ahead.
Marquise Watson-Trent.
You love him. Sean loves him.
Well, I don't think we know what Nebraska has in him yet, but what we do know is he was the Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year. And there are good football players in the Sun Belt. I mean, it's
100.
It's a poor man's SEC type of league. And, his total career tackle numbers would be number 2 at Nebraska all time. Like if he played his full career at Nebraska, had the tackles that he's had at Georgia Southern, he would have passed Barrett Rood.
120 tackles last year alone.
I'll tell you what. Yeah, I was a little worried about the size initially, but then when we were at the spring event,
St. Michael's.
Well, it wasn't that. In fact, at St. Michael's, I was a little worried because he had a lot of clothes on. I mean, he had like a coat on, and you couldn't really tell what the body structure was. No, when we were at the event that closed spring ball, what'd you call that?
Oh, the Husker Day.
Husker Day. I literally stood next to him on the sideline because you could do that. Size is no problem. He's big, thick kid. I mean, I'm not worried about size.
It's a matter of how that will look with him, Shavers, and probably Javen Wright, like that trio. I mean, and then could Jacob Bauer slide in there? But I think the 3 I mentioned, if I were just forecasting that inside group, you almost have a 3-man rotation with those 3 guys.
And I'll tell you, that's a good rotation.
Yeah.
Those guys are good.
Because McGahee's more an edge guy.
It's a diverse skill set right there, where you have Wright that, with his length and his cover ability. You got Watson Trent with his just production and nose for the football, and you got Shavers with his dynamic playmaking. I mean, that's a nice little combo to work with. And then
really
whatever
is.
they get beyond that is icing on the cake.
With McCullough and McGahee on the edge.
McCullough, McGahee, Ochoa, maybe even Maverick Noonan a little bit. I mean, that edge position is really strong. So when we have that discussion, it makes me think back to John Butler's comments in the spring when he said, what is Nebraska really good at? They're a good blitzing team, good coverage team. Some of those guys are going to be dynamic blitzers.
It's a matter of what the package will look like as far as how they bring the pressures, because that was kind of an Achilles heel at times, was of how you bring your pressures, when you bring them, and the disguising of the pressures.
Yeah, their blitzes never got home.
Not very
And
often.
they always got picked up, and it left guys running wide open over the middle. Like, that's got to change.
And then their 3-man, when they would try to do the 3-man rush, a lot of times on like 3rd and a country mile, we'd see teams convert those plays because a 3-man rush just wasn't getting it done.
Wasn't getting home.
No, Rob, I think they hired Butler in part to get those blitzes home.
There's a reason that was one of the first things he talked about. Right? It's like, you got to get off the field on 3rd down. When you turn up the heat, you got to put the drive to an end.
And the bowl game was a good indicator of that. You kind of got some feel for that. And Phil Snow, I think his knowledge. Yeah. I mean, Phil Snow came into Lincoln for a reason.
Yeah.
And Shavers had one of his best games as a Husker in that bowl game too. So coincidence? Probably not.
Shavers was a freak in the first half.
He was so good.
In the first half
He
of
was
that
so
game.
good.
All right.
Keep going. What else you got?
Well, that's our top 6 through 10. When we come back, I want to go into the top 5. So we will continue our discussion of the top 40 Huskers and look at players 1 through 5 next. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Back here on the Husker Online Show, Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Wash. We're brought to you by Zipline. Hey, they've got a whiskey dinner, a special event down in Fallbrook set for July 15th. You're going to have to reserve a spot for this Barrel and Origin. It's a 4-course dinner diving into the diversity and history of fine whiskey, paired alongside with some world-class dishes. Space is extremely limited and reservations are required. Check it out at Zipline Tap and Grill on Facebook, or call them at 402-904-7161 to reserve your spot. I think Robin's reserving a spot right now.
Rob, you can tell your wife I'm going to study whiskey. I'm doing a study.
It's
a
for
business
work.
trip.
It's for work. Okay.
It's work and knowledge.
Sean is requiring us.
It's for your edification.
That's right. I can't just be spouting off ads here, like not having a background of what we're talking about.
Our last show in Fallbrook, Robin and I were there till like midnight.
You guys stayed that seriously?
Well, people kept buying us beverages, and we had to reciprocate. And
you have to work the next day.
Well,
Work from home life, baby.
Work hard, play hard.
All right. We're also brought to you by HelloFresh. If you're not familiar with HelloFresh, they make it so easy for you. Everyone wants to eat right. They want to try new things, cook right. It's hard, though. You don't have time. You don't have time to go to the store. You don't have time to come up with new recipe ideas and get all the ingredients that you need. They make that all easy for you. They send it all right to you. You pick your recipes. Like, hey, I want these 2 items sent to me for the week for 4 people, for 2 people. Well, they send it all right to you. The produce, the meats, the spices, the easy to follow recipe cards. And some of these can take 15, 20 minutes. Some obviously are longer recipes, maybe 30 or 40 minutes plus to do. But you're going to cook a meal that you're like, wow, I put this together, and they make it easy. It tastes great. Your family's going to think that you're a world-class chef when you get HelloFresh. Like, my wife's like, you made this?
There's a couple. Wow. Like, what I like is that they give you recipes that you would otherwise probably never try. You're like, whoa, I didn't know I could cook shawarma.
You can cook shawarma?
Yeah.
You're Chef Shawarma.
Shawarma.
I thought you were going to say you are. I was like, we might have to cut a word out here.
No, it's delicious. And again, without HelloFresh, I would have never even thought to make that. It turns out it's pretty easy, and it's delicious. My kids love it.
What is shawarma?
It's just seasoning. Like it was basically like a chicken rice.
Okay.
Seasoning. I don't even know how to describe it.
How they make their rice too, it's a different way, but I like how they do it. Like you boil. It's just they do it. I usually do rice cooker normally, but their way of making. You just learn a lot of things you normally wouldn't do. It's easy.
I'm learning right now. There's a place in town called Chef Shawarma. Are we talking rice-based foods?
Probably.
But go to their website.
Sean's very annoyed with me right now.
HelloFresh.com/HuskerTenFM, and they're going to give you 10 free meals, and that's 10 free meals and a free item for life of every box. That's HelloFresh.com/HuskerTenFM. You'll get the 10 free meals with your active subscription, plus you'll get some other free items as well. Thanks to HelloFresh. They've been a longtime sponsor here of the Husker Online Show, and urge you to try them out. All right. I want to get into the top 5 because we broke down players 6 through 10. I'll go through it. Our number 5 player was Dasan McCullough. I had him at 5. Robin had him at 5. Abby had him at 6. Sipple had him at 8. So we were all pretty close on McCullough. Deshaun Singleton was 4. I had him at 4. Robin had him at 7. Sipple had him at 7, and Abby at 5. Emmett Johnson, I was at a 2. Robin and Abby had him at a 3, and Sipple was at a 6. Dane Key, I had at 3, and then you guys all had him at 2. And then our consensus number 1 by all 4 was, no shock, quarterback Dylan Riola. But let's kind of first start with the unknown of just Dasan McCullough, because obviously they're paying him a really hefty NIL deal to get him here. And clearly they have big plans, I think, for him in this defense.
Look at him. Just look at him. I mean, some of it, when you consider the totality of the McCullough picture, you just have this image in your head of McCullough walking through that door and being top 5 off the bus guy. Mm-hmm. It looks like he could start for UConn basketball, right? Am I wrong?
I thought you were going to say UConn football.
No,
I hope so.
No, UConn basketball. He's
an athlete.
He's really, really a freak athlete, and he's long arms, just long levers. I hope what happens on the field, if it equals the imagination, then he'll have a huge year.
Yeah, the potential with him, you could argue, is as high as maybe anybody on the roster. I mean, just with what his athleticism, his versatility. I mean, this was a former freshman All-American. So, he has that ability to him. And now the hope is that he's found his home as an edge rusher, not trying to do this Swiss Army knife type role where you don't really get to settle into anything, that is going to be the kind of springboard for him to take that next step. And we talked about how much emphasis John Butler and this defense are putting on improving the pass rush. There's Dasan McCullough is at the forefront of that discussion. If you get consistent pressure off the edge from one guy, it changes everything with your entire defense. So his value is through the roof, especially if he can live anywhere close to his potential.
And you know how geared up he'll be for that opener? He played his high school ball in Kansas City. His dad used to coach for the Chiefs.
Oh, God, you're right.
So he's a Kansas City guy, somewhat tied to Mosey as well. But there's a lot of those Kansas City guys like Mosey, Winery, McCullough. I mean, that's
a big game for those guys.
When they go into Arrowhead, for those kids, that's a huge deal in their life.
It is. One other thing about McCullough, Rob, I think what you're thinking about is, I thought one of the most memorable interviews of the spring was when McCullough said how excited he was to lock in, just he wanted to be close to the ball. That's what he said, close to the line of scrimmage, and that he's like you said, he kind of found a home. So let's see what that looks like.
And then at number 4, Deshaun Singleton, somebody that initially was going to go to the NFL, decided to come back. Last year was his first full, real healthy year, but he didn't get a full offseason. If you remember, he was kind of later coming off that injury that he suffered. So what will a fully trained, developed Deshaun Singleton look like as really an old man in this defense, a veteran?
Well, they need him to be like a 3rd, 4th round type pick. I mean, they do it. At some point, you have to start looking for guys on this team that are legit difference makers. And Singleton would fall under the category of, we need you. I mean, we need you to be a guy that shows up big in big games.
Just a sledgehammer on the back.
He had the most productive season of his career, 71 tackles, 2nd on the team. That was a career high for him. And then I think his selection as one of the media day representatives shows kind of what his role is on not just the defense, but as the team as a whole. I mean, he's one of the more respected guys in that locker room. And so if he can get continued production out of him and also bring everybody else along, he's the type of player that can be one of those difference makers just because of what he can do in coverage, but then also coming up in the box and, again, playing into that attacking mindset that John Butler wants.
He's a grown man. We talk about players at the college level. Some you talk about as kids. They're kids. They're when you meet Deshaun Singleton, he's a grown man. I mean, he's mature. That's the kind of guy you have to lean on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I did on the number 2 and 3. We kind of were really close on this, but you guys went Dane Key 2. I went Emmett Johnson 2. And then you had Emmett Johnson 3. I had Dane Key 3. I guess your guys' thoughts on what gave Dane Key the edge over Emmett Johnson on your ballot?
Production. I mean, just pure production.
Proven career production.
Yeah. When you look at Dane Key, I think a lot of it just comes down to, this is what he did in the SEC. This is what he did in the best. Well, how I look at it as the best.
The best draft pick conference.
Yeah.
Not the best conference in terms of national championship of the last 2 years and what we've seen on terms of top end teams, but the best NFL conference.
Yeah. So that's the separator for me.
I'm curious, Sipple, to get your thoughts on Emmett Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
Sean had him 2nd. Abby and I had him 3rd. You had him 6th. I think that raised some eyebrows because when you look just from the outside looking in, like Emmett Johnson's role is massive because they don't have anybody else perceivedly behind him in that running back room. Why 6? Why not higher for Nebraska's clear number 1?
Well, I think he's got a lot to prove. I mean, he has 1 touchdown last year. 900 some total yards is good, but it's not at all eye popping. I mean, I feel like Emmett's got a lot. He's a good back. He's a fine back, but I mean, what you got to go to another level now.
Mm-hmm.
And he hasn't done it. I hope he does. And I'd love for him to sort of, I guess, in a sense, prove me wrong, because I'd like to see that kind of running back at Nebraska. But I haven't seen that from Emmett Johnson. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen the anything close to an Amir or a Roy Halou or Rex Burkhead. I haven't seen that from him.
I think the hope is that what he did over those final 4 games with Dana Holgerson, like his volume went through the roof.
He looked pretty good,
and especially as a receiver out of the backfield. Like he only had 1 rushing touchdown. He at least had a couple receiving touchdowns. The
key is, can this offense execute at a level to get defenses off balance?
Yes.
When you don't know what's coming and you're off balance,
100.
That's when Emmett is great.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's an obvious run and it's going to Emmett, defenses are going to scheme for that. And I will say this about Emmett: has there ever been a back that has not even been a 600-yard back that's gotten this much attention? And
there hasn't been a 600-yard back.
I mean, with one rushing touchdown last year,
right.
But a lot of it is the situation. Like I think everyone's projecting.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of it is just how he ended that season. When Dana took over, Emmett Johnson's role went through the roof. And I think the hope is, or at least the assumption is, that will carry over and maybe even go do a couple ticks up.
39 catches last year.
Yeah.
Oh, he had some moments.
41 targets, 39 catches.
And overall volume.
So you understand his ability inside like a phone booth to make people miss is really good. He's an explosive jump cutter. He's tougher than hell. He's really tough, and I love. And we step there in the press box. I say that all the time. Emmett is tough. He'll bring it. He'll bring it every play, and I love that about him. You just want to see some elite. I want to see a little bit more elite.
No doubt.
All right, guys. When we come back, Abby Barmore will join the show, and we'll take your questions here in the mailbag. You're listening to the Husker Online Show. We're back here on the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washington, Abby Barmore joining us here for the mailbag. Again, we're brought to you by the title sponsor of Zipline. Get out and try the newly released Juicebox hard soda. Abby has got like a full stock fridge of that, by the way, at home.
Wow.
It's already gone.
Yeah, she did. It's
been a rough summer for
A couple
Abby.
6%ers in Abby. We might get interesting mailbag.
Oh, for sure. I'm a hardcore
Spicy.
lightweight.
But thank you to Zipline.
half of one of those.
You can pick that up at Hy-Vee, Total Wine and Spirits, The Still, all over, especially here in Lincoln and other places that carry Zipline products. Try their new orange creamsicle hard soda. The strawberries and cream will also be out here soon as well. So they'll have 2 flavors of that. We're also brought to you by Ridge. If you're not familiar with Ridge, they make a premium men's wallet, and they help you kind of reorganize your wallet. A lot of us get older and we collect 85 cards in our wallet, and we create like a phone book almost in your back pocket. Well, Ridge is going to clean that up for you. They have traditional leather wallets, but their real product are these titanium metal thinner wallets that you can fit in your front pocket. You can put up to 12 cards in there. There's a little cash strap as well, and it's all you need. And these are, I mean, these things are practically bulletproof. I mean, they might be actually.
You can hold it up.
Only one way to find out.
Keep it in your front
The hard
pocket,
way.
right at your heart. But they make them in different teams as well, different colors, all the styles you want. It'd be a great birthday present or gift for that person in your life that needs a wallet. Check them out. We've got a discount as well with HuskerOnline. We're going to give you 10% off with the promo code Husker at ridge.com/Husker. Again, ridge.com/Husker, promo code Husker. You'll get 10% off that Ridge wallet. Thanks to Ridge for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online show. Abby, mailbag time. Where we going?
Okay, if you had to pick one player on offense and defense to surprise everyone this year, who would it be?
I'm going with Kai Nelson.
It's a good one.
I think Nelson's had a good off season. Wouldn't be surprised at all if he moved into number 2 at some point and even maybe challenged Emmett a little bit. I know that's what his mindset is. Who on defense?
I was going to say Tyler Knack on offense. So
Okay, I'm sorry.
I wanted to give an offensive guy here.
You like Knack, don't you?
I think he's a sleeper at right tackle.
That would be
talked
great.
about it all. So that fits
Well, it'd be great because
surprise.
it further enhances that whole depth discussion. Because look at right tackle, Rob. Okay, if you got Knack there, you would have Henry Tofsky as a possibility. You would also have Turner Corcoran as a possibility. You'd also have Gunnar Gatula as a possibility. You'd also have Teddy Prohaska as a possibility. All those guys could play right tackle.
And all those guys could play left tackle.
Pretty much, yeah. I'd say so. So, yeah, when Dana Holgerson says one of the separators this year for us is the fact we have offensive line depth where you're not in a position where if one guy or two guys goes down, you're in trouble.
How many times has that been the case here?
How many times, Rob? It
Too
seems like
many.
every year. Yeah.
Too many.
Not now. I would say that's not a problem this year.
Defense. What about a Jacob Bauer? I know he got a lot of hype this spring with getting put on the scholarship or whatever you want to call it. But like we talked about those top 3 at inside linebacker. I mean, Bauer's positioned right now to be the 4th guy in that rotation, maybe even higher depending on how things go. But he's kind of made a career proving everybody wrong, and doesn't seem like he's slowing down anytime soon.
Don't sleep on Dawson Merritt. Like I think Dawson Merritt coming off the shoulder, he could come in and have he could get himself in the discussion.
See, like Will,
he'd be one of the inside guys.
Oh, he'd be inside.
Interesting.
He's not I don't think he's an edge.
Well, you know more than I do.
I think he'd be if there was a guy that could jump into that but get him on the field for 4 games. If he wasn't out for the spring, I think his name would be out there more. Jalen George is another one. We don't talk about him, but I think he will play or have a role as well. They brought him in from the portal for a reason.
The other guy to watch too, and we've said this in Tunnel Talk, is Jameer Khan. Jameer Khan was hurt in the spring, but has made a big impression now in the offseason and will be a factor on special teams. Can he work his way into the defense? He's a demon. I mean, they brought him in for a reason. So
multi-year starter at Southern Illinois.
Yeah, see what that looks like.
All right, Abby.
Okay, next one. What is your depth chart for Nebraska's tight ends this fall camp?
Well, I think Heinrich Harburg and Luke Lindenmeyer are kind of like your Batman and Robin. Like those 2 guys are going to be really the leader of that room and how they utilize that position. But the question still remains, guys, about Carter Nelson, where he fits in, and even Mac Markway.
Nelson's the X factor for me because, I mean, he's got by far the highest potential of anybody in that room. And if he can stay healthy and get involved in the offense, kind of find his home now going back to the tight end role, that's the potential's through the roof there.
Is he ready to roll?
We just don't know. I mean, I'd assume he is.
If he's ready to roll, I'm glad Rob said what he did. I listened to words closely. You said by far the most potential. By far the most potential.
I don't even know if it's close.
Well, Heinrich's got a lot of
his
athleticism.
first year. I mean, I get it. And we just don't know what that picture looks like.
No,
yet.
we don't.
Yeah,
saw
what's the
glimpses of it.
recovery?
We
Yeah.
kind of know. The thing about Carter Nelson is we do kind of know what that picture looks like. We saw
Mhm.
snippets of it. What we didn't know last year was he was playing with a hip injury.
The Northern Iowa touchdown is a great example, like how easy he made that look.
Yeah, exactly. The few flashes we saw of him, I was startled almost. I mean, that's a big time athlete out there.
All right, Abby.
Okay. Is this linebacker room more athletic than the one from 2011?
Yes. 11?
Okay,
Ooh, 11.
Refresh me on
Oh.
Levante
11.
David.
Oh, shoot. Okay, I thought you were like last year. I'm like, yes.
Refresh me on 11 besides David.
Will Compton, Levante David, and would it have been Sean Fisher? Or
That's the third.
you got to
I don't know.
give us a little help here on the names, Abby.
The
Sorry.
third. That's okay. The third one I don't know there.
Yeah, I'm trying to find.
I have a
Here we
hard
go,
time.
Here we go. Here we
I mean,
go.
Will Compton and
All right, so you had Will Compton, Levante David, Sean Fisher, Alonzo Whaley, Graham Stoddard.
I can't go over that group.
Yeah, this
I'm
thing-
sorry.
yeah.
Will Compton is a longtime pro, and Levante David's a borderline NFL Hall of Famer. So I'd have a hard time just saying this group's gonna be better. I mean, those guys are.
Was the question
It's more athletic.
Pretty athletic though.
Because you're talking about Deshaun McCullough, who we just gushed over last
Like
segment.
Will, you don't gush over Will's athleticism.
Wright's athleticism. He covers like a safety at 6'5", whatever.
Different
Like,
defense, though.
I mean, I'd say the athletic profile is, if nothing else, on par.
Hmm.
Now, production, talent, that's a much different conversation because, like you said, you've got one of
David.
the greatest linebackers ever to
Right.
play at Nebraska. You got almost a year 10 NFL vet in Will Compton. Like, that's hard to
Compton
do.
did not blow you away with his athletic profile though.
No, he was a good linebacker.
Good and extremely
Good
smart.
enough to play a long time in the NFL.
Yeah.
He was a Big 12 era recruit that actually transitioned very nicely
did.
into the Big 10.
He was probably actually better in the Big Ten.
He's a Missouri kid, grew up playing and watching Big 12 ball, but his style was probably a better, like in the spread Big 12, he may not have been as good of a fit as he was playing against like Penn State and Michigan. And
Good point. Good point. Yeah. I guess the question, what it does suggest, is the athletic profile of this group is high.
It is.
Shavers, right? Watson, Trent, McCullough, big time athletes. Just athleticism, sheer athleticism.
Now they got to go do it on the field.
Yeah, McGahee. Did I say McGahee? McGahee's the same way. I can't wait to watch McGahee. Honestly, can't wait to watch him this year.
final question.
Okay, your last question. In honor of Steve Sipple's birthday, what is your favorite birthday dessert?
I got mine.
We are sticklers for the Dairy Queen ice cream cake.
The price is shot up.
It's like $40.
Shot from 13 to 40. I remember 13.
They have an Oreo version.
$40.
We kind of have an argument in my house because I actually like the Oreo version of it, but my rest of my family prefers like the traditional one. Also, nothing but bunt. Like you can't go wrong with that either. I mean, if you ever had nothing but bunt cake,
No,
They're good.
sounds good though.
So good.
Bunt cakes generally are just ridiculously good.
Don't ask for a cheesecake. It's nothing but bunt. Mine is kind of weird. So one time my wife made this cake. I don't remember what the event was for, but it was a cinnamon roll cake. And
hello.
basically just all the ingredients of a cinnamon roll just kind
Hello.
of put together into a cake with icing as the frosting. It was phenomenal, and I've requested it for like the last 10 years for my birthday. as
Does
my
she
birthday
deliver?
gift. Oh, yeah, every year.
Mine is, there's two. My mom, and this is all about my mom. My mom used to make this dessert that was, it was Rice Krispie treat, or Rice Krispie with peanut butter as the crust, with vanilla ice cream in it and chocolate chips.
Jeez.
The Rice Krispies with peanut butter was remarkable. The crust, it was remarkable. Or she would make, or she would always make me fried chicken and a cherry pie. That was my
Yum.
birthday. That was my birthday meal. And my mom's fried chicken is freaky. It's really
Did you just
good.
cook it in the pan?
Yeah, and again, Rice Krispies. For some reason, the crust, there was a Rice Krispie crust, and it was. So that's what I had every birthday from probably age 6 to 16.
You won't have that tonight at Ruhlman's?
No, I'll probably have sirloin, which I get a lot of heat for having sirloin. Like people are always like, "Why you just get sirloin?
Get the filet. Get the
just go to
ribeye.
Denny's. I mean,
get the ribeye.
What?
Get a ribeye.
Yeah, I might get the New York strip.
AJ Ferrari got you sold on the New York strip.
Yeah. That'd be like one of your 10 steaks for the day, right?
I explained to
Ferrari eats 10.
I explained to my oldest daughter, like this guy, how he ate 10 steaks and 12 salmons.
They can't grasp.
That's
that.
incredible.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, how much money would cost?
I'm still trying to get over that. Like, I can't even fathom eating that much steak.
Eating like 2 a day would be really pushing it for
like,
me.
One big steak. All right, cool. I'm good.
I can't sometimes fathom that Ferrari's at Nebraska.
I know.
I mean, what a lineup.
That interview this week, like it just kind of fell into our lap, and it ended up being probably one of the more intriguing ones we've done on our show.
Well, Ferrari's got a lot of charisma. I mean, he's got a natural charisma.
He toned it down for us.
I was going to say, he wasn't even trying to be charismatic, and he was charismatic. I mean, hey, Rob, Sean, that wrestling season's going to be something to watch.
They've got some names that people know.
And we're going to be covering it
Yep.
full time. We've got a big new cast of interns coming in, and we will have designated reporters for Nebraska wrestling, just like we do with baseball.
Mark Manning, at age, I don't know, he's in his 60s. Just, I don't know what's happened. Like, it's just like he's just said, oh, all right, I'm cutting loose now.
It's like, all right, Penn State,
Right.
we'll play your game.
It's fun.
Let's go.
Abby, what's your cake?
Oh yeah. I have 2 favorites. My mom makes me a chocolate chip cheesecake every year for my birthday.
Whoa.
So good.
Whoa.
But she also makes like a lemon poke cake that is like,
good God.
oh my gosh, it's out of this world. Is seriously so good. It's the best I ever had.
God, that was a good say.
I'm getting hungry.
Yeah,
All
right?
Well, happy birthday to Steve Sipple.
Yeah. Yep. 53.
53.
30 years old. Incredible.
Little-
You
Got a
look
wild
great.
night.
A wild night at Ruhlman's with family.
Just smashing sirloins.
Smash.
AJ Ferrari's just going to show up.
Heard there was some sirloins being
You guys
served.
doing steaks?
He'd eat the whole kitchen.
Only had 8 today.
All right. Thanks, Abby. When we come back, we're going to close the show with some Nebraska basketball as Robin Washut has more from Fred Hoiberg and kind of where things are at this summer. You're listening here to the Husker Online Show. Final segment here of the Husker Online Show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washut. Again, are brought to you by Zipline, our proud title sponsor, partner of Husker Online that we've been with here for the last couple of years. Great time to try their summer beers. The can opener beer is out. I was at Hy-Vee the other day, guys. Sold out. I mean, that is a really, really popular summer beer. Light, refreshing.
Okay.
Also try the Orange Creamsicle. That's their other summer beer. Our release that just came out. Their hard soda, Juicebox hard soda. Thanks to Zipline. We're also brought to you by Mando. If you've never tried Mando, Stephen M. Sipple has basically become the worldwide spokesman for Mando.
I don't think Mando would authorize you to say that. Sean, I do use it exclusively at this point. I don't use anything else. And the thing I keep trying to sell to people, the amazing thing about Mando to me is this. I will wear a shirt. I will go through a workout. I swear to God, I could wear that shirt the next day because it smells so good.
So on
I'll
their
pull it off. I enjoy pulling off my shirts.
Because they just have a great, refreshing.
They smell good.
Yeah, man.
Well, there's a great promo right now, 20% off in June with Mando right now. You'll use the promo code Husker at shopmando.com. You get free shipping plus 20% off. That's the June-July promo we have going on right now with Mando. The promo code is Husker. They also still have the great Mando starter pack as well. That's heavily discounted. Thanks to Mando for making Steve Sipple smell better, and really everyone around him gets the benefit of it.
I said shirt too, right? I pull out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just picturing you just like tearing your shirt off like a Calvin Klein model or something.
That's how I picture it
Just
too,
really
Rob.
Elaborate.
All right,
When I
Rob.
see the mirror and I'm like, not Calvin Klein model.
You caught up with Fred Hoiberg, Nebraska basketball here. I want to close on some basketball talk and just the latest, what's your feel with rev share, the roster, anything else really that Fred Hoiberg, hit on here moving forward?
Yeah, so just general rundown. They had the first month of summer workouts, mostly individual small group stuff. They're still not doing like full 5-on-5 live work yet. That'll come later this summer. But so far, so good. They've been able to stay healthy. They had their full roster on hand for the very opening workout, which that hasn't happened in a long time. And so they're off to a good start. Now, kind of the unexpected news is that Leo Curtis, the promising 7-foot freshman from Iceland, will be gone for pretty much the entire month of July, competing with the Iceland national team at the U20 FIBA or European Championships. So what's interesting about him is that Fred Hoiberg went out of his way to say that he was maybe the biggest surprise of that front court through that first month of summer workouts. And a lot of that just had to do with his overall skill level. Like, he's a lot further. They knew he was far ahead, but he was even further ahead than what the coaching staff expected. Now, he's still got work to do with the strength and conditioning, which makes him being gone for a month, a little, I guess, maybe disappointing is not the right word. But Fred is adamant about whenever a guy has the opportunity to go represent his country on the international stage, he will 100% say yes every time. So it's just kind of part of the deal. Good news is that they really like Leo Curtis. He's further ahead than they thought. We'll see kind of where that month off leaves him going into the start of fall workouts. Rink Mast is the other big kind of roster note. He's probably healthy to go full go right now. They've been very meticulous, very cautious with this recovery plan for him. And while he's been chomping at the bit, and again, if they were to play a game tomorrow, he'd start. Like, that's not an issue. But they are being as careful as they possibly can every single step of the way to where they're holding him back right now. They're focusing on his conditioning, getting him back into basketball shape, because it's been over a year since he's played a basketball game. So that's kind of the final phase of his recovery. Like, they don't want him start to lumbering and being out of shape and then, having a risk of a setback. He will be 100% probably better than he was before his surgery by the time fall practices start. And that's good news, because they built this entire roster around him and they need him to be 100% from day one. And so far he's right on track to do that.
Hey, Sean, what do you think about when you hear the 7-footer is more skilled than they even thought? That's a 7-footer. I mean, skilled 7-footers generate excitement.
I will say season ticket invoices just went out this week, so
that helps.
It is right around the corner.
Well, with Curtis too, so Rink is the guy this year, but who's next? Leo Curtis, probably. I mean, they kind of build him as an X factor going into this season, because from a skill standpoint, he's probably ready to play right now, but he needs to, just adjust to, one, American basketball, two, the Big Ten. It's a different game, different level of physicality than what he's used to. So that might hinder his immediate impact this season. But man, if he continues on this trajectory, the big concern looking ahead to next offseason is who's going to replace Rink Mast. I put Leo Curtis at the top of that conversation.
Well, Robin, as far as the schedule, I mean, what in July are they just practicing? And it's kind of 4 days a week training, or what kind of schedule are they on?
So each player kind of has their own individual plan. They come in at different times, have different groups that they work with, and they do some full team stuff. The coaches can't be on the court when they do that, but the managers are a big part of that. Charlie Hoiberg, the other Hoiberg twin, he's now a GA helping run those things. So that's kind of what's going on now. They took some time off in July to let kind of coaches go on vacation, players go back home for a little bit. So they're going to reconvene here later this month and do kind of that next summer session of the individual small groups. And then once you get closer into mid-August, early September, that's when the official fall practices start. And then before you know it, October 15th, exhibition opener against BYU, and we're off and running.
All right, guys, before we wrap it up, I do want to also remind you we've got a great promo with tickets right now for Husker Night at the K on August 29th, the day after Nebraska plays Cincinnati at Arrowhead Stadium. The next night, Nebraska will be a part of Husker Night at the K when the Tigers take on the Royals. It's a 7:10 p.m. game at Kauffman Stadium. I was just in the K last week, Saturday. Can confirm, Robin, they have Joe's Barbecue now in the K.
Did you have something?
It's the Z-Man sandwich and onion rings.
I just worry about the cleanliness of eating that in a stadium, because that's a no joke sandwich. The Z-Man.
You're worried about the cleanliness?
I'm just gonna sauce.
It's manageable. You do your own. They do a little sauce on there. You can do your own, but you sit at a picnic table right next to Joe's.
Okay. What are you worried about there?
I don't know, myself spilling on my shirt.
It's a manageable sandwich. It's not one that you can't hold. I mean, it's
It's less about the sandwich. It's more just my barbarian eating style when it comes to barbecue.
You do have a barbarian eating style.
They have really done up that ballpark, guys. I mean, the upgrades they've made. They had we played putt in the ballpark.
You know what they haven't
That's
upgraded
crazy.
with the Royals though? Their offense. They need to upgrade their offense.
Caglione-
They have 15 home runs at home
They
this
just
year. The
drafted
Dodgers have
the
70.
future.
The Royals have 15 home runs at home this year. The Dodgers have
Yeah,
7.
almost Caglione has struggled, and you wonder
He's gone.
they brought him back down. I thought he was still on the.
Oh no, you're right. No, you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
He's not. No,
No,
you're
he's
right.
up. I mean, he played.
Did you watch him?
Yeah, and I mean, he's struggled to make the adjustment to the majors, which is expected.
Oh yeah.
But you know they beat the Dodgers the game we were at, unfortunately. But they
Scored 9.
They about blew it. I mean, it was.
They scored 9.
They scored 9. Ohtani only pitched 2. But yeah, great ballpark, great scene. They had over 100,000 fans at the K for the Dodgers
God.
series.
That's impressive. That's impressive. The Royals are a great organization. I mean, I would have said that. Okay, I'm 52. I would have said that 30 years ago, and they're still good.
Their giveaway. So for this Husker night, they're going to give away a windbreaker, a Nebraska Husker night windbreaker. The giveaway when we went to the Royals game, it was a Charlie Hustle Kansas City Royals t-shirts. But Charlie Hustle's like a really nice brand. And
Oh, nice.
we got these. I mean, these t-shirts were like $40. I mean, and that was the giveaway they gave when you came to the game. So
You just get one.
everybody got one.
Everybody got
One per ticket.
Everybody.
You guys
in your
want a
family-
size medium?
I don't know. So
Might be a
all
stretch.
your family
They run
got one.
big. Yeah,
Oh.
everyone got them.
Wow.
So yeah, they'll give a windbreaker at Husker Night at the K. We got the link to buy the discounted tickets and discounted parking right here on our YouTube bio page. It's also pinned on the Husker Online Red Sea Scrolls message board. For Abby Barmore, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, I'm Sean Callahan. Everybody have a great and happy and safe 4th of July weekend.